Imagine coming from a faraway land and being so amazed by India that you write an entire book about it. Over 2300 years ago, a Greek historian did just that. He didn't just pass through, he lived here, observed us and wrote down everything. Our culture, our cities, our wisdom, even our elephants. What did he see in ancient India that made him call it unique, rich and powerful? I'm Liana, and today on Page Pulse by Lee, we are going back in time to explore Megasthenes India, the version of our land he described in his book Indica. Megasthenes was a Greek ambassador and historian. He lived around 350 to 290 BCE and came to India during the time of Chandragupta Maurya, the founder of the Mauryan Empire. He wasn't just a tourist, he was sent as an official ambassador to the Mauryan court by Seleucus I Nicator, a general of Alexander the Great. Megasthenes lived in Pataliputra, modern-day Patna, the capital of the empire. He spent years observing India, its people, rulers, animals, cities and traditions, and he wrote all about it in a book called Indica. So what did he see that left him so amazed? What was it about India that made him pick up his pen and write a book the world would never forget? When Megasthenes first set foot in India, he was stunned. Everything around him felt larger than life. So rich, so alive, so different from the world he knew. He couldn't believe how fertile the land was. Rivers flowed freely, forests stretched endlessly, and farms were bursting with crops. To him, India wasn't just beautiful, it was self-sufficient. People here didn't depend on other nations for food or goods. They had everything they needed right at home. And then there were the cities. He was especially fascinated by Pataliputra, the capital of the Mauryan Empire. He described it as grand and well organized, with wide roads, wooden houses, strong protective walls, and a sense of planning that felt way ahead of its time. It wasn't chaotic, it was smart. Every part of the city seemed to have a purpose. But what touched him most was the people, their way of life. Megasthenes saw something deeply spiritual in them. Many Indians, he noticed, lived simple lives, away from the noise and greed. He met sages and philosophers who chose peace over power, who believed in truth, silence and wisdom. They weren't just thinkers, they were guides, shaping the soul of the nation. What surprised him even more was how the empire was run. This wasn't some random rule by force. The Mauryan administration was detailed and disciplined, with ministers, officers, even secret agents who kept things in order. Justice wasn't a word, it was a working system. And unlike in Greece, where slavery was common, he didn't see people being forced to labor here. Everyone had their place, but there was dignity in it. And India wasn't just wise and gentle, it was powerful. Megasthenes wrote about a mighty army filled with elephants, horses, chariots and soldiers. It was a nation that believed in peace but was fully prepared to defend itself. Reading his account, you get the feeling that Megasthenes didn't just observe India, he admired it. Through his words, the world saw a land that was intelligent, organized, kind and incredibly strong. Now Megasthenes admired India, but he didn't get everything right. Some of his records might have exaggerated or misunderstood. Like the part where he talks about giant ants digging up gold from the desert. Sounds unbelievable, right? But we have to remember, he was a foreigner in a new land, trying to understand a completely different culture. He wrote what he saw and sometimes what people told him. Some things might have been misunderstood or maybe even stories he heard from locals that got mixed up. Still, his book called Indica became a treasure. Even though the original copy is lost today, his work was so important the other Greek and Roman historians like Strabo, Arrian and Diodorus quoted from it in their own writings. That's how we still know what Megasthenes saw in India from the past where other writers saved. Even though his book is lost, their writings help us understand how people in the ancient world saw India as a land of beauty, wisdom and power. Now you might ask, why should we care about what Megasthenes wrote? Because it proves something powerful. Even centuries ago, when travel was rare and difficult, foreigners saw India as wise, wealthy and wonderful. Back then, India wasn't seen as poor or strange. It was seen as a great civilization, rich in culture, knowledge and values. Sometimes it takes an outsider's eyes to remind us how special our land truly is. Megasthenes saw us not as mysterious, but marvelous. When someone from across the seas looks at your country and writes, "This land is wise, its people are kind, its leaders are strong. You know, you belong to something greater." Let's never forget the India that once amazed the world, because that India still lives within us. And this was Megasthenes India, a story from the past that still speaks to us today. If it made you feel proud, do like, share and subscribe. Until my next video, stay curious, keep reading. Signing off, Page Pulse Bailey. See you next time.